A pleasant morning to everyone. Welcome. This is Jasmine T. Palaruan. This is Flight 3G56. We are all bound for a new topics. Please take your seat and fasten yourself right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to inform you that our discussion will be going to start now. Please listen carefully because we will be having our quiz after this. The world has become a global village and a small world. And what does it mean? Our world today and our way of living has been dramatically changed from a single way of living or simple way of living down to the complex one, and from a single society down into a global society. And that changes or basically started during the industrial age, or the age wherein the internet and technology has been introduced. Because of this introduction of the internet and technology, our world today has become called as a global village. Global village, basically, ito yung tawag natin ngayon sa modern era, wherein we are now driven and connected to internet and technology. We are driven by those items or by those technology or by those stuff. And because we are now part of a global village, ibig sabihin, hindi na lang tayo society or hindi na lang tayo citizens ng isang country or ng isang komunidad. But we are now a society or a citizens of a whole world. And it says here, small world, of course, because we are now in a global era or in a global village wherein internet ay laganap na. Ibig sabihin, mas madali na lang tayo nakaka-connect into other people coming from the other countries, and mas madali na lang yung process of communication. And another reason why our world became small is that the introduction of globalization. Globalization intensify and strengthen yung bond natin sa iba't ibang tao sa mundo. Globalization kasi makes our world as a borderless one. Borderless meaning to say wala nang hadlang. Kaya mas napapadali yung mga communication natin, mapa-social man or economic activities. And that's the reason why our world became small. And as I said earlier, our country today or our world today has become a borderless world. So, meaning to say, wala nang hadlang-hadlang, and therefore, when it comes into the issue and problems, ibig sabihin, pag may problema ang isang country or may issues sila na nag-arise sa kanila, ibig sabihin, mas madali na lang siya na spread throughout the world. And because of that, yung single issue nagiging global issue na. And yun nga, as we remember, as our country or as our world became developed, ibig sabihin, mas marami ring issue ang lumalaganap. It's because alam naman natin that anumang ginagawa natin, it has a positive or a negative consequences. So, depende na lang. In short, it depends in our hands, in our activity, kung ano yung magiging kaakibat na consequences ng progress natin. And speaking of global issues, there are many global issues arise in our country or in our world na kinakailangan talagang i-actionan. And because this is a global issue, which means from the word itself, global, meaning pangmalawakan, hindi lang iisa yung naaapektuhan niya, kundi lahat ng country sa buong mundo, lahat ng tao. And yung epekto niya, hindi lang siya pang environment or pang social, but of course, naaapektuhan niya rin yung education and our society itself. And thus, our topic for today is no other than global issues that concerns schools and society. And our objectives for today is number one, discuss at least two global issues in society, and next one is explain proposed solutions to the social problem. And now we are now moving on into our formal discussion. So based on that picture represented in that screen, what do you think is that picture representing? And if your answer is a global issue, yes, it's correct. The picture represents a global issue. And speaking of global issue, what does it mean? Global issue from the word itself, global, meaning pangkalahatan or around the globe. And issues naman represents or it refers to the dilemma or the problem that arises in our certain community. So pag pinagsama natin, ibig sabihin global issues, meaning these are the issues, the problems that arises in our whole world. And speaking of global issues, what do you think is the reason why do we have that? And basically, one of the reasons kung bakit tayo merong ganyan or may issues na nag-arise is that no other than ang sarili natin mismo, we as a human itself that living in this world, yung mga activity natin like hindi pagsunod sa tamang paglalagay ng basura and pagsusunog, and lahat ng yon ay nakaka-contribute kung bakit tayo nagkaroon ng mga global issues. And another reason talaga why do we have that is the introduction of technology itself. Yes, we admit that technology helps our life become easier. Yung way of living natin is napapagaan. But sinabi ko nga kanina, lahat ng ginagawa natin, lahat ng progress and all, lahat ay may nakaangkla or may nakasalalay na consequences. It's either positive and a negative. And sad to say nga, ang nangyari sa atin is that, yes, of course, nag-progress yung world natin, yung way of living natin, lahat ng yun ay nag-progress, but yung resources natin, those environment natin na pinagkukunan, yun naman yung nagsasuffer. And thus, as I said earlier, we are now in a global village, and therefore we are now a global citizens. And as a citizens of this world, we have the responsibility to take an action on this. And as I said earlier, this global issues is a severe issues or hindi lang nakakaapekto sa isang aspect like environment, but also kung meron mang naaapektuhan ng masyado is no other than the education of the children itself and our society itself. Thus, speaking of global issues, we have 10 global issues here today. That is according to Chloe Turner 2020 that we need to discuss. First is that climate change. Second, pollution. Third, violence. Fourth, social well-being. 5, lack of education. 6 is unemployment. Number 7 is government corruption. And 8 is malnourishment and hunger. And 9 is substance abuse. And last but not the least is terrorism. First is the climate change, the most popular and a common global issue. Climate change, it is stated here that it is the change in the state of climate, meaning to say, ito yung mga pagbabago sa pattern ng temperatura and panahon natin. Halimbawa, bukas, tig-ulan, the next day naman, tig-tuyot, tig-ulan, yung hindi talaga mawaring pagbabago or pattern ng klima natin or panahon. And one of the reason talaga kung bakit meron tayong climate change is human activity natin mismo, like pagsusunog, simpleng improper ways of disposal, yung mga makinarya, yung mga pabrika, lahat ng yun, yung mga ash nila, nakaka-contribute sa pag-increase o sa pagdami ng greenhouse gases natin. Na yung mga greenhouse gases na yun yung mga nagtatrap sa sunlight or sinag ng araw sa atmosphere natin. Kaya nagbabago yung klima natin. And it is also stated here that the global temperatures are rising and are estimated to increase from 2.6 degrees Celsius to 4.8 degrees Celsius by 2100. This only means that our global temperature are rising because, as we all know, we are now in a modern era wherein, aside from the internet, we are now surrounded with technology. Lahat na nga ng ginagawa ng tao, lahat ng activity is all supported by technology. In short, in this modern era, we are now a technology-driven base. Because nandito na tayo sa modern era where technology is nag-exist, and therefore marami ng mga pabrika, lahat na ng tools ng tao, na lahat-lahat na is yun nga, technology driven base, and therefore dumadami na yung mga gases, mga greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide dito sa earth natin, and which makes our temperature in a globe rising. And it also stated here that in the year 2021 ka is magdodouble na yung Celsius and temperature natin in the globe. And one of the reason talaga is number 1, human activity, and number 2 nga is yung pag-increase ng mga innovation or technology. Kung ngayon nga 2021 pa lamang, lahat na is technology driven based na. What's more pa kapag darating na yung 2021. So therefore, talagang magdodouble talaga, and hindi talaga doubt na in the year 2021 magdodouble and mag-iinit pa yung temperatura natin ngayon. Next is, it's also stated here that crisis with food and resources, and the spread of diseases. And that only means that because nga habang tumatagal or habang nagbabago yung klima natin, of course meron yan siyang naka-underlying effect, and that is nga yung crisis with food and resources. And of course, habang nagbabago ang ating temperatura and klima, ang naaapektuhan naman talaga is no other than yung agricultural lands natin, na dahil sa pagbabago ng klima natin, nahihirapan na mamunga yung isang agricultural product natin, and because of that, nagkakaroon tayo ng shortage of supply, or shortage of supply sa mga agricultural products natin. And yun na yung reason bakit tayo merong crisis with food and resources, kasi nga namamatay yung mga lands natin and mga minerals, lahat ng pinagkukunan natin. It's because sa pabago-bagong klima, dulot ng pagdami ng mga greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide. And it also stated here, diseases, of course, if there are underlying effects that brought by climate change into our agricultural lands and resources. Of course, when when it comes into our health naman, meron din naman. And because nga pabago-bago yung temperatura natin dito sa mundo natin, and our body itself is hindi naman robot, therefore hindi madaling nakaka-adapt yung katawan natin, kaya maraming nagkakasakit dito sa mundo. Most especially maraming nagkakasakit na yung nagkakaroon ng mga flu and skin diseases. And aside from that, climate change also, hindi lang nagalimit yan sa aspect na dyan. Therefore, when it comes into our education, meron din siya underlying or corresponding effect, and that is nai-interrupt yung learning ng mga students. Now, the question is how, of course, because pabago-bago yung temperatura natin, and then therefore, maraming nagkakasakit, including our students, and therefore, maraming hindi pumapasok, or kung pumapasok man sila sa paaralan, hindi sila nakapag-concentrate dahil sa iniinda nilang sakit brought by the climate change. Therefore, nai-interrupt yung learning nila, or na-interrupt yung learning process nila. Mas kunti na lang yung information na dumadaloy sa kanila, or bumababa yung academic achievement nila. And another reason why nasususpend yung learning process ng mga student brought by the climate change, for example, meron tayong La Nina, and then therefore alam natin na bagyo yun, and then therefore marami nang walang klase, nasususpend ang klase, and therefore nasususpend din yung, or nai-interrupt din yung learning ng isang student. And another reason din na nasususpend or nai-interrupt ang learning ng bata is that yung El Nino naman, yun naman yung tigtuyot, because nga nagkakaroon tayo ng drought, and then therefore alam naman natin that there are many children raised or coming from the agricultural family, yung mga farmer, and then therefore kasi mababa or maliit lang yung kinikita nila dahil nga nasira yung pananim nila dahil sa drought or sa El Nino. Therefore, marami yung mga bata na nagdadrop na lang sa school para hindi na mahirapan yung kanilang mga magulang na buhayin sila. And because of that certain reason, our students' learning become interrupted, and apparently yan din yung dahilan kung bakit there are so many children, or there are so many human beings in this world that are illiterate. And now we are moving on into the solutions. First solution regarding with our first issue is that the reduction of greenhouse gases emissions. And that only means that climate change can be avoided through lessening our emitting or releasing of our carbon dioxide. Ano tong carbon dioxide? These are the gases wherein nanggagaling sa mga usok ng sasakyan, usok ng mga pabrika natin, and yung mga improper ways of disposal natin. And that only means that the best solutions para ma-avoid natin yung pag-imitate or pag-release natin ng maraming greenhouse gases is that number one, walking instead of magsakay sa sakyan. Imbes na habal-habal ka or sakay ka ng kotse mo, maglakad ka na lang if ever na malapit man. And next one is yung pagsusunog natin. Instead na i-burn mo yung mga wastes mo, what you will going to do is that ibabaon mo na lang siya sa soil natin, and therefore magiging fertilizer pa yon, and nakahelp pa tayo in reducing our greenhouse gases dito sa mundo natin. And last but not the least is that the having a practice on proper waste disposal. Kasi as we all know, kapag hindi na organize yung mga wastes natin into proper containers, mayroon siya, nag-imitate siya ng mga carbon dioxide, which is nag-contribute siya into sa pag-increase ng mga greenhouse gases natin na yun nga nagtatrap sa sunlight natin into the atmosphere.